May record the session. So we discussed about clear Sunkeys find element API until find element API in yesterday session, right? Now find elements. Like find element, you can do find elements also. Instead of doing it on top of a driver, you can do it on top of a web element. See this, I am finding a div. On top of this div center, I am finding other elements. I am finding the elements whose are all inputs. Okay, instead of finding it on top of the driver, I am doing it on top of a web element. So I told you, right, the same thing will be applicable. It will save our time. That's the benefit you will get. So on top of a web element, I can call find elements. See this, like yesterday we saw, right, in accounts, in the sign up form of it, we have so many fields. So instead of finding it these fields in the entire page, I can find it only within this form. Okay, let me run this example. So the only advantage you will get is you can find the elements in quick time when compared to driver.find elements. If you use WebElement.find elements, you can find them very quickly. See this, I have all these elements. So I'm not finding them on top of driver. First I am finding the create account. I am finding the element whose id is equal to create account. So the element is nothing but this form. Okay, on top of this element, see this, here I am not calling driver.find elements, I am calling element.find elements. So I am finding all the elements whose tag name equal to input. I call. Okay, now I am iterating, I am printing the value of each and every element. So there are so many elements, I am getting them. So like driver.find elements, you can call find elements on top of web element also, but when compared to that, this is effective. You can save your time. Both look similar only. The only difference is instead of calling driver.find elements, you will call web element.find elements. That is the only difference between them. Now E is enabled. The purpose of E is enabled API is, first I will tell you what does it mean by enable. I've opened this page. If I click on chapter 1, I will get this one. So this button is there, right? See this. See the text within this text area. If I click on it, this text will be added. I have been added with a timeout. This text will be added if I click on it. Okay. So enable means if you are able to click on something, that means that is enabled. If you are not able to click on that, that is disabled. Okay. If you have a button, if that is enabled, then only you can click on it. If click doesn't happen means it might be disabled. Okay, how can you find where the button is enabled or not? You can find it through is enabled API. Okay, let me run this one and I will discuss on it later. See this, I am opening this website, I am clicking on chapter 1. Now this button ID is second Ajax button. This button is second Ajax button. So if I call driver.find element, by id second ajax button, I will find that button. Okay, I found it. So this button is enabled, right? If I click on it, some text is adding. That means the click is performing on top of it. So if I call is enabled, it will return me true. If the button is enabled, if I call is enabled API, that will return me a true value. Is enabled will return two values, either true or false. If the button is enabled, it will return as true. Okay, let me run the same command by disabling it. In front end, what will happen for any button? For any button, if you're a developer, if you're a front end developer, adds adds disabled attribute to it, then the button will be disabled. See this? Now if I click on it, nothing is happening. I'm clicking on it actually, nothing is happening. And you can see the difference in the opacity also. The opacity is reduced, right? Earlier it is some uh, the intensity, the black color intensity is also reduced, right? Earlier it is thick block, now it is some white smoke color, I guess. It is coming in white smoke color. Okay, the opacity of the button is also reduced. The button is disabled now. Okay, now let me call the same API. So after disabling the button using some attribute, if I call this, if I call is enabled API, I will show you what will happen. See, it is returning false. Earlier it returned true for us. Now it is returning false. The reason is earlier the button is enabled, now it is disabled. So using is enabled API, you can find where the button is enabled or not. It will return true value if the button is enabled. It will return false value if the button is disabled. So these are all methods are there, right? So you will use them in very rare cases. But in this course, I wanna cover each and every method we have in WebDriver and WebElement. That's why I'm giving you these examples. Now E is displayed. Now E is displayed. See this, I've opened this page. I'm clicking on this chapter 1 link. I am finding that Ajax button. Ajax button means this one. Is displayed means it will check whether the button is visible on the page or not. We are able to see this button, right? Load text to the page. So we are able to see it. So if I call is displayed, it will return me true. Okay. Now let me do small CSS change on top of it. So I inspected this element. So using HTML, you can create buttons or text inputs or select boxes on top of a web page. Using JavaScript, you can implement some logic on top of it, and using CSS, you can apply some style on top of it. So in the element style, I'm adding a style attribute called display, and if I say none, then the element will be disappeared. Okay, we are not able to see that, right? Are you able to see that button? Even the button is there in the DOM, we are not able to see that. Okay, now if I call ajax button.is displayed, it will return false. So is enabled will tell us whether the button is enabled or not. Is displayed will tell us whether the button is visible on the page or not. If the button is visible, it will return you true. If the button is not visible, it will return you false. Okay, that is the purpose of is displayed. Now get attribute. I have already told you, right? What does it mean by attribute? If you inspect this element, input is the tag name, type equal to button is an attribute, id is an attribute, value is an attribute. Type is known as attribute name, button is known as attribute value, id is known as attribute name, and second ajax button is attribute value. Value is attribute name, load text to the page is the attribute value. So you have the element, you wanna know an attribute value, you will give the attribute name and you wanna get the attribute value. So you found this element using the id, but you wanna see what is the value of it. Okay, if you want to see what is the value of it, how can you get that? Using WebDriver means you can call get attribute method by giving the attribute name. If you call get attribute method with the attribute name, then you will get the attribute value. See this? This element is div on the left. This element id is div on the left. Okay, I found this element using id. So I found this element using id. Okay, after finding it, I wanna get the class attribute value. What is the class attribute value? Left div, right? So after finding this element, if I call get attribute method by giving the attribute name, it will give me the attribute value. You'll see that. Okay, the class attribute value is left div. Remember that. On the left. Now on top of the web element, I am calling get attribute by giving the attribute name. See, we got the attribute value left div, right? So after finding the element, if you wanna get any attribute value, you just need to call get attribute method by giving the attribute name that will return you attribute value. So that's the purpose of get attribute method. Till now, is it clear for everyone? Or do you have any doubts in is enabled, is displayed, get attribute, find elements in the four methods? Do you have any doubts? Is it clear? Okay. I hope everyone is clear. Now get CSS value. CSS means the styles. The styles that are applied on top of the element. What is the position left? Position left means so for this element, this is known as position left. The distance between left corner of the screen and left corner of the element is known as position left. Okay. Top means the distance between top corner of the screen and top of the element is known as top. Okay. And this is known as font size, 15 pixel, 12 pixel, like that. So for this one, size is greater than this one. So like that, lot of styles will be applied. This is known as font color. What is the font color? White, right? white is the font color. For this font the color is black. Like that, based on the style what you are applying, the elements will be visible on the page. Okay, the look and feel will come due to the styles which are applied on top of the element. If you wanna get the styles that are applied on top of the element, you can get it using CSS value. Get CSS value method. Okay, let me inspect this element. So div on the left. Here you can see all the styles that are applied. The position of the element is absolute. The top equal to 200 pixel. That means the distance between top corner of the screen and top of the element is known as top. The value is 200 pixel. This is 200 pixel. You know, right? Do you know what does it mean by screen resolution? Screen resolution, people will tell, right? For my computer, screen resolution is 1600 into 1900. That means this total width of the screen is 600 pixel. This total width equal to 600 pixel, and the total height is equal to 900 pixel. That is known as screen resolution. Okay. So for this element, this distance is 200 pixel, this distance is 200 pixel. So whenever front-end developers are developing a web page, based on the screen resolution, they will arrange the elements on the page. They will arrange the text like this. If I don't apply styles, so top equal 200 pixel is there. If I uncheck it, if I uncheck the left value and the top value, see this. It adjusts to the left corner of the screen, right? There is no distance between them because I removed that left value equal to 200 pixel. So if I remove that, entire style will be changed and it looks clumsy on the page. Okay, if you apply proper styles, then only the page looks good. Okay, so if you wanna get these styles, you don't need to learn all the styles and all, but what I'm trying to say is, if you wanna get the styles that are applied on top of the element, you can get it using get CSS value method. Okay, see this, in the font size I have 15 pixel, that's why it is coming, we are seeing it like this. If I make it 40 pixel, it looks so big. So everything is there in the styles. If you learn CSS, you can design the page in any way. So now I am making it as 2 pixel. See, we are not able to see the text, we are not able to see the fonts on the page. So it depends on the font size attribute of the element. If I give 20 pixel, then it looks good, it looks better than earlier. Okay, like that you can apply styles using CSS. If you wanna get the CSS that is applied on top of the element using Selenium WebDriver, you need to use this API, get CSS value. For this element, remember the styles so that I can show them one by one. See this, for this element, left value equal to 200 pixel, top value equal to 200 pixel, font size equal to 15 pixel. We'll try to get each and every value using our get CSS value method. Clicking chapter 1 link, then finding the element. See, I'm calling get CSS value by giving the CSS property name. If I give property name, then the property value will come. What is the left value we saw there? 200 pixel, right? I got 200 pixel here. Let me run the same in the display mode by changing the property name as top. We got 200 pixel again because for the element both left and top equal to 200 pixel. Now let me run the same method by giving the property name as font size. What is the font size we saw there? 15 pixel, right? I got 15 pixel. Like that, if you wanna get the CSS values that are applied on top of the element, you can use get CSS value method. Now get location. Location means what? How can you move your mouse to the to particular element? If you know this value and this value, you can usually move your mouse to this location, right? If you know the distance between left corner of the element and left corner of the screen and top corner of the element and top corner of the screen, then you can easily navigate your mouse here, right? So that is known as location. So the distance between left corner of the screen and left corner of the element is known as left. The distance between top corner of the screen and top corner of the element is known as top. So if you get both these values, then you can easily locate the element on the page or element on the screen. Okay, how can you locate it? By fetching these two values, left and top. How can you get these two values? Using location API. See this, I'm clicking on one link. For this element, we have already discussed it, right? The left value equal to 200 pixel and the top value equal to 200 pixel. If I call, instead of calling get CSS value left, get CSS value top, I can simply say get location. And above the web element, I can simply say get location. If I say get location, that will return me a point object. The point object contains two properties, x and y. X will give me the left value and y will give me the top value. So using that, I can easily navigate to that element. See this. We saw 200, 200 pixel, 200 pixel there, right? The same values we got here. So if you call get location method on top of a web element, that will return you a point. Point contain two things, dot x and dot y. Dot x will give you the left value and dot y will give you the top value. I got 200, I got 200. See this, for this element, let me run the same example for this element. Second Ajax button. So I clicked on chapter 1 link. Now I am running the second Ajax button. So this is the button. If I call get location on top of it, 8 and 468. See this. The distance is very less, right? That's why it returned the x value as 8. It is just 8 pixel only. The distance is just 8 pixel. It is very nearer to the screen, right? But when compared to this one, this top value is high. That's why we got 468. This is just 200 pixel we got. For this element we got 468 pixel. So using this 8 and 468, I can easily move the mouse here, right? So that means I located the element, right? So using get location API, you can get the left and top values of the element. So for this element we got that two values as 8 and 468. X value is 8, Y value is 468. So using get location API, you can get the location of the element on the page. Now get size. What does it mean by size? Size is same for anything. Like human being, size means what? You will talk about width and height of you, right? Like that. Here also, this is known as width of the element. This is known as height of the element. Every element contains a height and width. So this is the width for it, this is the height for it. This is the width for it and this is the height for. This is width, this is height. Like that for each and every element, width and height will exist. How can you get the width and height of the element using WebDriver methods? The procedure for it is you will use getSize API. So I've opened that. I'm clicking on the one link. I'm finding div on the left, that means this one. I got the size. If I call get size, like get location, instead of point, it will return you dimension object. The dimension object contain two things, height and width. Height will return you the height of the element, width will return you the width of the element. See, this height is 17 and width is 221. If you inspect the element by after hovering on it, you can see that. See this div slash div on the left slash means not slash, that is what yeah, ash. So div ash, div on the left, dot left div. That means the idea of the element is div on the left and the class name of the element is left div. That's why in CSS I have already told, right? Dot means class attribute, ash means ID attribute. And after that you can see 221 pixel into 17 pixel. Always first value represents the width of the element, second value represents the height of the element. What is the width of the element? 221 and height equal to 17 pixel. If you hover on any element, you can find the height and width of the element. So if I inspect it, what is the width of the element? 206 pixel. What is the height of it? 126 pixel. So if I hover on any element, it will display the width and height of it. 162 pixel is the width and 21 pixel is the height. So for this element, what is the width? 221 pixel is the width and 17 pixel is the height. Now we'll see, are we getting the same values in the Eclipse? We got the same values, right? 17 and 221. So using get size method, you can get the dimensions of the element. You can get height and width of the element. In our automation, in very rare cases, you will use this API. You will use these methods, get size and get location, is displayed, is enabled. This API, in very rare cases, you will use. But if you are going to attend interviews, it is very, very important. They may ask you any method name. So you should be prepared. If someone asks you which method you will use to get the coordinates of the element, they don't give the exact name, they don't use the word location. If they use the word location, you can simply say get location, right? That's why they will try to use some other words like how can you get the coordinates, how can you move the mouse to particular element, like that they will ask. Then you have to tell them that I will call get location API that will give me x and y coordinates of the element. Using that I will move the mouse there. How will you get the dimension of the element? Dimension means what? Dimension is nothing but width and height only. If someone asks what is the dimension, how will you find the dimension of the element? You have to tell them that I will call get size method. That will give me a dimension object that contains two properties, height and width. Height will return me height of the element, width will return me width of the element. Like that you have to explain them. So using get location, you can get the location of the element, that means left on top values. Using get size API, you can get the dimension of the element, that means height and width of the element. Now get text. Get text we have already discussed. Then also I will tell you once again. This get text is very important. We will use it in many places. Okay. So the purpose of get text is if you inspect any element, so I'm inspecting this element. So div is known as tag name, ID class are known as attribute, and this is known as text. This part is known as text. I said that this text is on the page. This is known as text content of the element. Text content. This is known as text content. Okay. If you want to get this text content after finding the web element, if you want to get the text content of the element, you need to call get text method. So I found that div, and I am calling get text method. See this? I got this right. I said that this text is on the page. The same thing what we saw there, that we are seeing here. So using get text API, you can get the text content of an element. And the last method in WebElement API is get tag name. This is very simple. After finding the element, if you wanna get the tag of it, you can call get tag name. So for this element, div is the tag, right? So if I find that element, drive at find element by ID div on the left, that will return me web element. If I want to know the tag of it, I will call get tag. So what is the tag name of it? Div. So the get tag API will return me, the get tag name method will return me the tag name of the element. We'll see that now. So see this, in this I am inspecting this element, driver at find element div id div on the left, that means this element. What is the tag name of it? Div, right? The tag name of it is div. So if I call get tag name on top of the web element, I will get the tag name of the element. I got the div, right? Yeah. So using get tag name method, you can find the tag name of the element. So there is no logic at all, like handling iframes, handling windows. You don't need to apply your brain here. You just need to remember. You have to remember each and every method name. Okay, these methods will be helpful to clear interviews. In your programming, hardly you will use them. Okay, you don't use them in frequent manner, but to clear interviews, these are all important. We don't know what questions they will ask, right? So it's good to remember all these API by heart them. So I will just recall all the methods in web element. We have click method that will be used to click. We have clear method to clear the text content. So in a input box, if you have some text, if you want to replace it, you cannot use send keys directly. If you use send keys directly, it will append the new text to the existing text. If you want to replace the existing text with the new text, you need to call clear method first, then you need to call send keys. So send keys you already known. Find element and find elements. Like driver.find element, driver.find elements, you have WebElement.find element, WebElement.find elements. The only difference is performance. These two are efficient when compared to that, because you are finding only within a particular web element instead of entire page. And then is enabled. Is enabled method is there to check whether the button is enabled or not. and is displayed. Is displayed method will tell us whether the element is visible on the page or not. Okay, if the element is visible it will return true, if the element is not visible it will return false. Using get attribute method, what you can do after finding the element, if you want to get any attribute value you can use get attribute method. And above web element, if you call get attribute method with the attribute name, you will get the attribute value of it. And then get css value. Get css value method is there to return you the styles that are applied on top of the element. So if you give the style property name, it will give you the value. If you call get css value left, it will give you left value. If you call get css value top, it will give you top value. If you give font size, it will give you font size. If you give font family, it will give you font family value. Like that, if you give a css property name, this method will give you the css property value. And get location. Get location will give you left and top values of a particular element. And get size API or get size method is there to find the width and height of the element. Get text is there to get the text content of the element. Get tag name is there to find the tag name of the element. So these are all the methods we have in web element. Is it clear for everyone? Do you have any doubts? Okay, let me tell you two more methods. So in day before yesterday class, I guess I told you mouse over, right? How can we do mouse over on top of it? Apart from click and mouse over on top of a web element, on top of any element, on top of buttons or some menu items, you will do right clicks or double clicks. So these two are also very very important. How can I do right click on top of an element? How can I do double click on top of an element? These two actions also I will tell you today. Okay. So to do mouse overs, we don't have it on top of WebDriver, we don't have it on top of WebElement. We need to create an object for actions class. I showed you, right? Actions equal to new actions. You will pass the driver, and on top of actions, you will get move to element, and you will give the element, and you will call build.perform. If you know mouse over, if you understand this mouse over concept, it's very easy to it's very easy for you to understand this double click and right click. So you will follow the same procedure. On top of actions object, for mouse over you will call move to element method, right? Instead of calling move to element method, for double click you will call double click. Okay, the method name is double click only. For right click you will call context click method. So in front end terminology, if you double click, if you right click, always you will get menu item, right? If you right click, always you will get menu items. So that menu item is known as context menu. That's why in front end, right click is termed as context click. See this. This is known as context menu. So the menu items list you are getting, right, that will be termed as context menu in front end languages. Okay, so that's why in front end languages people will call right click as context click. That's why I named it as context click. We'll see it now. So I've opened the page. So this is the item. So this is the div context menu 1 box menu 1. So I'm finding it through an XPath. I found it. Then I'm creating actions object. Now, like move to element, I'm calling context click. See this? Before calling context click, I don't have anything here on the page. Now I am calling context click and I am giving the element. Like mouse over here also you should provide the element. You should tell me right on which element I have to do right click, on which element I have to do mouse over. So you have to find the element, then create the object for actions class. Instead of calling move to element, you will call context click method with the element. So I'm running the method now. See, we got the menu item, right? So context click method will do right click on top of a web element. Then I am finding this paste and I am clicking on it. It's saying clicked paste. I clicked paste option, it is telling me. So this is the way to do right click on top of a web element. What you have to do, you have to create an object for actions class and you will call context click method. If you want to do mouse over, you will call move to element method. If you want to do right click, you will do context click method. And if you want to do double click, you will call double click method only. The name is same. You will call double click method on top of actions class. So right click, mouse over, double click. These three are there in actions class. So along with web element, web driver classes, you need to remember this actions class also. In actions class, we have these three methods. Mouse over, we have these three actions: mouse overs, double clicks, and right clicks. The method names are move to element, context click, and double click. So on top of this link, if I double click, then this dbl click statement will come. Dbl click means double click. So now I will try to achieve through the program. So I open this page. So this is the link, right? Click here to test. That's why I'm calling by link text. Click here to test. So I have the link. On top of it, I have to do double click. So I'm creating actions object. I'm saying actions dot double click, and I'm passing the link. That means do double click on top of this link, and I'm saying build that perform. See, I got this dbl click statement, right? That means double click is performed. So everything is similar for mouse over and double click and right click. The syntax is similar. You have to create actions object. On top of actions, you need to call some method and you need to pass the element and you need to call build dot perform. Everything is similar, only the method names will change. There are three method names: move to element, context click, and double click. If you want to do mouse overs, you will give the move to element method name. If you want to do right click, you will do context click method name. If you want to do double click, you will give double click. So these are all the methods we have in actions class. Using that, you can perform these actions. Is it clear? Right click and double click. I hope everyone is clear. If you don't have any doubts, we'll meet tomorrow. We have 3 more sessions. Okay. If you wanna rewind previous sections or if you face any difficulty in these topics, just rewind them once, prepare the list of doubts and ask me in the next 3 sessions. Okay. We left with 3 more sessions.
Dev, Dev, this is Hari.
Yeah, tell me, Hari.
Dev, will you be teaching us the TestNG tool as well?
Yeah, tell me now.
Yeah, will you be teaching us the TestNG tool as well?
No, no, no. TestNG is a extension of JUnit. Okay, it is an alternative for JUnit. We have JUnit in our course content, right? So you more or
Okay.
less it is similar to JUnit, but it is bit advanced than that. Few configuration steps are there. Few additional configuration steps are there. So if you wanna explore more on TestNG, do one thing.
Okay.
So in my blog, in the test automation category, I have both the pages, JNet and TestNG. Go to this blog
Okay.
place. I placed all the questions you will get in
Mm-hmm.
TestNG. If you go through them, then you can easily understand. Okay, refer this page to
Okay.
get some good idea on TestNG.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the article you need to follow. What are the advantages of TestNG over JNet? There is no method name constraint in TestNG in JNet. In TestNG, you can tell the test method. So, so if you write 4 or 5 test methods in a single class, if you wanna mention the priority or the order in which they have to run, you cannot mention that in JNet, but you can prioritize them, you can order them using TestNG. So those kind of configuration um, additional features you can get in TestNG. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there for QTP, we have this ALM, right, for the managing all the test cases and all.
Yeah.
What is the management tool for the Selenium?
There is no managing tool like that. Every
Okay.
company, every organization will follow their own tool. Okay.
Okay.
Few people will buy license in Jira.
Okay.
Okay, that is a tool. So like if you buy license, you can maintain all the bugs and all. In our
Okay.
company, we developed the tool by our own. Like that, each
Okay.
company will follow. Will use one tool for that. But Selenium doesn't provide any tools to create bugs and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there, I only have one. I need some suggestions from you. Like, the thing is, how to explore more on this Selenium. Whatever you teaches in the class, it's quite helpful, but we
Yeah.
need to explore more. So I just want to get the approach of it. How can we?
So if you want to be more confident on Selenium, what you're supposed to do is try to build tool. Try to
Okay.
auto take one website. Okay. And one more
Okay.
thing, I have one suggestion for you guys.
Okay.
In so to get the job, you will definitely keep some fake experience, right? In the project, what industry you are going to put? Just give me a minute. I have very less charging. I will be back. Are you able to hear me, Ari, now?
Yes.
Okay. So my suggestion is choose an industry like e-shopping. E-shopping is an industry, right?
Okay.
So if you explore much on Flipkart.com, then in your project, um, put something like e-commerce. I worked on a e-commerce application. I wrote applications like that. Then if they ask what kind of test cases you have implemented, you can say that adding elements to the cart, removing them, adding elements to the wish list, like that. Choose a website. We have so many websites, right?
Okay.
So the if you wanna put some fake experience, the good website is Flipkart only. Okay, explore much on Flipkart website and put some e-commerce application in your profile. Okay, then you can easily explain them.
Okay. So thing is, Flipkart is pertain to India. I think I need to choose that is in US.
No, no, no. What I am trying to say is practice on Flipkart and don't give the
Okay.
name as Flipkart.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. give the name as Flipkart, then it will be a problem for you, right? I can
Okay.
understand that. Just tell them that it's a e-commerce application and put the name whatever you want. But the advantage
Okay.
here is you don't feel like a fake experienced guy. You have already practiced on Flipkart, right? So if they
Yeah.
ask, can you write one of the test case what you have written in your application, you can easily write.
Okay.
You don't mention the name, but you will always tell the test cases what you have written on top of Flipkart. Then you feel like a guy who worked on the real time project.
Okay.
And if they ask something not related to that, you can easily say. If we ask how will you manage cookies and all, if you know how to manage cookies, if you practice that, then you will tell the method names. If you don't practice, you will tell them that okay, in our e-commerce application we don't have any login part, that's why I don't know about cookies. Like that you will tell them.
Okay.
But one more session is in interviews, if you don't know something, don't touch that. Don't try to guess something. Okay, don't do guesswork. If you don't know,
Okay.
tell them that I don't know. I never worked on it. Because no one will
Okay.
work on everything, right?
Okay.
Even we attend interviews, we will follow the same procedure. If we don't know something, we'll tell them that I never worked on it. Don't guess.
Okay.
That is one more session. Yeah. And you need to practice, man. You need to take one website and you need to practice well. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing that there.
Yeah.
And they the thing is you I didn't download this class 16 and 17.
Yeah. Yeah. I will send you. I will
Uh,
send you that.
yeah, even yesterday class also we
Ah,
did.
yesterday class I didn't send to anyone. I will send it right now.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday and today's class.
Yeah, yesterday and today's class and 16 and 17 for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I will send it, man.
Yes, 16 and 17 because yesterday I had a college work, so I didn't practice anything.
Okay,
Just
okay,
want to
no
complete
problem.
today. Yeah.
No problem. 16, 17, yesterday and today. Yeah, I will send it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
That would be all. I will make sure I have all those clear from tomorrow
Yeah,
session.
yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah. Harsha, Rajan, are you good? Okay, then. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time, 8:45 p.m. IST. Bye. అమ్మో ఒకసారి అన్మ్యూట్ చేయి